Okay, let's start talking now about enhancing our document. We've gone over lots of different ways to get our text into our document and to do some of the more technical things with it. But now we want to format it. We want to enhance it, make it look good. So first we're going to talk about fonts and font styles and things we can do with text that way. The font, for anyone who doesn't know, is basically a pre-designed look for your text. You'll be taking lots of classes like typography and InDesign where you'll learn a lot more about fonts. So in Word, let's just learn about how we can change to them. I have my font choices right up here in the home section of the ribbon. And right now you can see that I'm on a font called Cambria. This is where my font is located, right here under the home section of the ribbon. Now, I can change my font by coming up and clicking on the arrow there, just to the right of the name of the font. And here are all the fonts that are available in Word right now. Now you can see that some of them have a black arrow to the right of those. Those are fonts that have different styles of that typeface. So here's Arial, and underneath that I've got bold, bold, italic, italic, and regular. Other ones that don't have that just have the basic font itself. Up here at the top, it's going to show ones that I've used recently in this document. And I'm going to come down here and I'm going to say I want to change this to Avenir Black. Now, as you can see, nothing actually changed. And that is because you have to select anything that you want to change that is already existing. However, my cursor's down here at the bottom, and if I start typing, you'll see that everything going forward is at that new font that I changed. So if I don't have anything selected and I change the font, and this is really the same with most of the formatting changes we're going to do, it affects anything going forward from the cursor. Okay, so let's undo that, and this time I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select a paragraph, and I'm going to come up to my font, and let's go down here to Adobe Garamond Pro and say I want this to be Garamond Pro Italic. And you'll see that it changes that particular paragraph that I had selected to that new font. Okay, so those are picking the actual font. Another thing that I have is the ability to change the size of that font, and that is going to be just to the right of the font itself, and you can see right now that it is set to a 12. Now I can click the little drop down here and choose from some of these preset sizes. Maybe I want to go to a 16. Again, you'll see that it only affects what I have selected. If I had not selected anything, then it would affect as I typed from that point. Or, maybe I want a font size that isn't listed here. For example, maybe I want it to be a 13 and it goes here from 12 to 14. All I need to do is just click in there and just type 13. And when I'm done typing 13, I can tap Tab on my keyboard and it kind of puts it into place, and here it is at a 13 font. Okay. So that is the font size. I can also move up and down in font size just one step at a time by using this increase font size and decrease font size buttons here. And you see now it goes to a 14, to a 16. It's going through the fonts in the list here. And I can go down to a 14 and to a 12. Okay? So those are my font sizes. Now, down here I have some different styles. So I have bold, italic, and underline. Bold, of course, just makes it thicker and bolder. Italic slants it and stylizes it a little bit. And underline puts an underline through it, or underneath it, I should say. Now, as we talked about, some of these fonts had them actually in the font list itself. The difference is that these are bold, italic, regular, that were designed by the font designer. So if they're available in here, it's going to look better to go through here. This is just, this bold, italic, and underline here is just having Word kind of fake it. Try to make it bold, try to make it italic, try to make it underline. And that can be useful at times as well. Now, if I click this drop down to the right of underline, you'll see that I have some different options for my underline: thick underline, dotted dash, so on and so forth. To the right of that, I have strike through, which puts a line through it. And then I have what's called superscript or subscript. That makes it small and either just above or just below the baseline of the text. So if I type a 2, for example, after word, and then select it, and then say I want it superscript, you can see that it's now small and up, or subscript is small and down. So those are some of the ways that I can stylize my text. Other things that I can do, I'm going to select this paragraph, And you can see that to the right of my increase and decrease font, I have this big A and a little a with an arrow curving above it. If I click on that, I can change the case. So right now it's in what's called sentence case, which is a capital first letter of the sentence, and then after the period, another capital. But I can click here to make it all lowercase, all uppercase. This is called title case, where it capitalizes the first letter of each word, or toggle case, which is actually a lowercase the first letter of each word and capital everything else. So this can be a quick way if you're like, oh, I need this little section to be all caps for some reason. I can just come in here and do that really fast. Another thing that I can do is I can adjust the color of my font. Right here where I have this red A, a red box under an A, I should say. This is my color. The color that is under the letter is what it will change to. So right now, the reason that's red is because it will change to red. So I can come here and I can click on that, and you'll see that now the word keyboard that I had selected has turned red. Now I'm going to undo that. And if I click the arrow to the right of that, you'll see that I've got some theme colors, some standard colors, or this more colors opens the Apple color chooser. This is actually in every app on here. It's not just a word thing. But you'll see right now, it looks just black, so it doesn't seem like it's giving me very many options. The reason why is this slider on the right is the brightness. The fact that it's all the way down means that it's all the way dark. If I slide that up, you'll see that colors start appearing on that wheel. And this is my color spectrum. So I can choose a color in here, make it darker if I need to, whatever I want it to be at. And if I click OK, it'll set it to that color. Now going back to that color palette there, I do have some other ways of choosing colors at the top. These are sliders, which you'll learn about in other classes, but you can do RGB or CMYK if you want to get technical with it. We have some different palettes here. You can choose Apple palettes, developer palettes, different ones like that, and then choose from the list below. I have what's called a spectrum, and I can choose anywhere within here, or crayons, nice and simple, pick on the color you want. I can also save colors that I'm going to use regularly. Let's say that I found exactly the color I want. I can then click right up here in this bar and drag it down to these little squares below, and that will save it, so I can then click in there and get it whenever I want. And one last way I can choose color that can be a lot of fun is using this little magnifying glass. If I click on that, you'll see that it gives me a bigger magnifying glass, and I can go anywhere on my screen. Let's say that I want this to be the blue that is in the iTunes logo. I can go down on there, and when I click, you'll see it grabs that exact blue, and I can click OK, and it'll change it to that. So that's another way that I can format my text, is by changing the color of the text itself. One last thing to talk about before we go on is we can highlight text. That's this right here, this ABC. I can select text and then click that, and it'll just put kind of a highlighter behind it there. If I click the arrow to the right of that, I can choose a specific color that I want that highlighted or none.